Hi everybody, it's Alex Newton from K-lytics with the Kindle market trends for March 2016. So let's have a look. Today I want to provide an introduction to those who are not so familiar with the K-lytics reports. Here in the basic report we cover 30 main Kindle categories where we monitor the sales ranks of the top 100 titles, that is the complete bestseller list for each of these 30 Kindle categories. This way, for example, we get here a ranking of the categories by sales volume of the top 100 titles, where you see, for example, the relationship between literature and fiction and non-fiction. You see that the sales for literature and fiction are higher in total than for non-fiction. You see that the top-selling genres on the next level here are romance, mystery, thriller, suspense, science fiction and fantasy. On the other end of the spectrum, you see at the bottom of the list categories such as travel, engineering and transportation or law, the more technical genres, and they are also genres that have only been introduced about half a year ago. And in the PDF version of the report you will also find timelines, so how do these categories perform over time relative to each other. Another indicator we look at is the rank momentum. That is essentially the growth in sales of a category from one month to the other. And we see that this month, for example, in March, biographies, memoirs, politics and social sciences, but also romance has been growing, whilst here technical titles such as computer and technology, engineering, transportation, but surprisingly here also teen and young adult, which is surprising given the launch of the new Harry Potter, have suffered this month a bit. Then price is obviously a very important factor in the equation for the royalties that you can receive. And it is important to note that the categories perform very differently when it comes to price. Have a look at the bottom of the list. You usually find genres such as romance or erotica. Also religion and spirituality is pretty far down there, whilst more technical titles can charge a premium. But also, by the way, things like self-help, which is interesting for the non-fiction authors, scores pretty high in terms of price. We also look at price changes month by month, so for which categories are prices rising, for which ones are they dropping. And here in this month we have price increases for children's books, travel books, arts and photography, but also romance, by the way, is continuing here on a fairly significant upward trend, which is really good news because romance has seen a huge slump in prices over the last 15 months or so. So it's a real rebound. And then at the bottom of the list you see here, for example, crafts, hobbies and home, reference books, education and teaching. Here publishers have dropped their prices this month. And again, in the PDF version of the report you get also timelines for these price points, so you can track your genre, how it's doing over time. Then we look at the degree of competition in every genre. How many titles are there in each of these top 30 categories? You see here currently we have about 1.6, almost 1.7 million non-fiction titles on Kindle, and literature and fiction just crossed the 1 million barrier. And then you can see here which genres are the mega competitive ones, such as religion and spirituality, romance, also children's ebooks, where especially for the picture books there are very low barriers of entry into the market. Whilst at the top of the list in the more technical genre, we're currently at around 40,000, 50,000, up to 60,000 titles available on Kindle, and that is English titles. In a similar way, you can look at the change of number of titles versus the prior month, which is important to see, where is the book supply really going up. And it's usually around 2 to 3% per month across the board. And some of these categories show a higher influx of titles than others. And especially here, one is really an outlier this month, where reference books. Some publishers are really pushing their reference manuals into electronic format and pushing them onto the Kindle platform. Many authors also ask about what is the average number of book pages for the various genres, and you can find that value in the PDF download, as well as a complete data summary across the 30 categories. And then another very interesting value to look at, we often get the question, well, what is the very best genre to invest in? And my answer is always, well, that depends. It depends on what? Well, do you want to go for those where there is a high sales volume? Do you want to go for those categories where there is a high rank momentum, so a high degree of growth of demand? Do you want to go for those where you can charge high prices, so earn, relatively speaking, high royalties? Or do you want to go for niche categories where there is a low degree of competition? Or do you want to go for those categories where there's the least amount of effort if you measured it in the number of pages you should usually write to meet the average of the category? And yes, from an analytical point of view, you can create, and we did so, a so-called compound measure that includes all those factors with a certain weighting each. And this is what we call the K-lytics category power index that helps you filter for the quote unquote best categories from this point of view. I hope you enjoyed this brief introduction. Now, covering the 30 main categories is obviously only the start, and it's a helicopter type of overview of the market. And for your publishing decision, you will require a more granular view, which we provide in the K-lytics Premium reports that cover about 420 subcategories. And our most granular report is the K-lytics Elite report, which goes down to subcategory level, currently covering about 2,800 markets on Kindle. If you like this, I invite you to take a close look at what we do and what we offer. Come visit us at K-lytics.com, that's K-lytics.com. I look forward to seeing you there. This is Alex Newton from K-lytics, ebook market intelligence for success.